wanted to do a quick comparison of my two TENS units, and I noticed as I get older, recovery is something that I'm really focused on and I'm really passionate about, especially when I'm having days where I'm really sore, or even to use these in times when I want to get a quick workout like abs and stimulate those abs and get the blood flowing. I use these units. And so this is my new one. I just got this one. This one is my older one. I want to do a quick comparison side by side of how they work. This is the TENS 7000, and I'll just refer to it as the 7000. This is the new AUVON TENS PT1 Plus Pro. So this would be the PT1 whenever I'm referring to them. They look really similar, but have a lot of big changes and differences in them. And I just want to go over them up close and kind of show the differences of each one and how they operate. First off, I want to talk about the cases. They're slightly different. This one's a little bit smaller. I really like the latches on this one. These latches slide, and it's always a burden to which way is to open it, whereas this one, the latches just pop right open. So you know, hey, it's open, and how to get it unlocked. So this one, having to slide it, you never know. And so it just makes it a lot easier. I like that the fact that they did that with the case. And it's actually smaller than the 7000. So I'll open it up and show what you get with each of them. Before we get started, I do want to specify I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, not a physical therapist, none of those things. I'm just someone that cares about his recovery, and I really try my best to work on my fitness and stay healthy. So this is not advice. I'm just reviewing these two products, and just want to show the differences between each of them. I will demonstrate it, this unit on, and I'm going to do a pad placement on my arm, but I want to say that I just look things up on Google. So if you want to know pad placement or intensity levels and stuff like that, those different settings, I always just do a quick search. There's a lot of information out there, and I don't want to have you put on a certain number that I'm not okay with, or that might be too high for other people. So I just wanted to say that ahead of time. Now, when you see it open, these, I do want to say I've used this one for a couple years now. So these aren't the original pads. These are some replacements I got, but the originals were really close to this, but you only got 4 of them. Now, these are real high quality pads that come with the PT1, and you also get the long ones. So this one only came with 8 of the small ones, whereas this one comes with 8 small ones, plus you get 4 of the longer pads. So that's really nice, and I like how they're individually packaged. So you get the unit, you get 2 cables, and then I'll start with one of the big differences between these two is the fact that this one is a chargeable unit, and this one you need a 9-volt battery. So that's going to be a big difference whether you want to be switching batteries all the time or have a battery die on you, and then you got to go find a 9-volt battery, which not a lot of people carry. You got to deal with that. But this one is a chargeable unit. You can see on the side here, USB Type-C is right there, covered with this little waterproof kind of lid latch here, which is really nice. So those are the differences. And also, when you get these electrodes or the cables, don't be afraid to separate them. So as you can see, I've already kind of split this one, but don't be afraid if you need them to stretch out just to pull them apart. So that's totally fine. You can do that for the length. And also, while I'm talking about these wires, notice this one is just balled up, and so I have to make sure it's in there right when I close it, versus this one, it comes with a little Velcro. So that's a nice little extra on this. Once you roll them up, you can just use your Velcro to latch them or keep them where they're not going to be flapping all over the place. So just push it right there. It stays in place, not going to come out. Onto the unit. And so the two major differences that you can see right away, that's a big one, is the screen. And so the screen is a lot bigger. It's also backlit. This one's not backlit, so you have to be in the right lighting. You can still see it, but the lighting is going to be crucial. Whereas if it's in the dark or the evening and you want to use this one, it's backlit. So that's one of the biggest things you can see right away. Now, one of the things that you won't notice unless you use this a lot is when I clip it onto my belt, if I'm walking around doing something, or if I'm sitting down and just have it clipped onto my chair or something, the knobs up here where you're dialing it in and the place that these plug into are different. So this one is at the top and this one is actually at the bottom, which to some people might be a big deal, might not, but I like to be able to access these without this being in the way. So you can see you got to have them turned a certain way and get your hands in there. And so coming out the bottom, especially wearing it, having those on the bottom is a big deal for comfort for me. Another thing about them is they each have which looks like a rubberized grip on the bottom, on the sides, but this one's more of a harder plastic. It's not really a rubber, even though it has these grooves. It is easy to grip, so you're not really going to drop it, but it's not as good a rubber as this one. This one's softer, and so I have a really good grip on this one, especially the buttons and this little tab. So that's noticeable when you're holding each of the units. But for function, I do like that these are on the bottom. Now, as far as using it, we talked about the fact that this one charges and this one's a battery, but you don't know how much power you have in it till you turn it on, which this one is turned on by the top, which is another thing that I don't really like too much about it, is the fact that now it's on. So if I had something plugged in, it would be on sending a pulse, and then you can see everything. No battery meter. This one, when you turn on, you can see that nice backlit screen, and it has a battery meter. So you got 5 bars that you can see what level your battery's at. So that's a big deal. I really like that. More information when it comes to digital and charged, like things that have a built-in battery. When you have that many bars, it just gives you more information, and I like that. I like to know how much battery I have. And the fact that it's not on. So you can see it's 00. This one's digital on the top. This one is on, so it's actually sending a pulse. So if you want to turn that pulse off, notice your screen goes away. So that's a big deal for me. You can see the backlit after a few seconds turns off. That way I'll save that battery. Now if we open it up, the buttons here are very similar, but you can see you have more information, whereas this one, the width and the rate are going to be put into one. So if I press the set, it's going to go into width, then it'll go to rate, whereas this one, if you press set, it goes across. So you have access to all the numbers at all times, whereas this one is going to flash back and forth, as you use it. Also, this one has 5 modes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and your customization is only up to level 8. So the intensity is going to be a little different, whereas this one, you have 8 modes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all those modes are explained in your user manual. So if you want to get more detailed, it's in the user manual. I'm not going to go over that. That's too much tech in depth. So I'm just going to, keep it on this, keep it simple. But the top, notice, so nothing, if it had the wire plugged in, these wouldn't be on, it wouldn't be operating until you turn this knob. So you can dial in everything you want and then pick your channel. And when you turn it, it tells you which one you are adjusting, and you have your adjustments here. It goes all the way up to 40. So you have 40 levels of adjustment on the top versus your 8, and just better overall view of the screen. So that's a big deal for me. Let me turn this off. I want to send a signal out. And so, that's some big differences on them. They both, now when they're working, when they're on and operating, they're both about the same. They both, send out the same rate of signal, but you have that 9 volt that you don't know when the battery, how much battery life you have. I think the last time I used this, I used it for a good while, so I might not operate as long. I got to go find another battery to switch. Whereas this one tells me I have full battery life. Now, as far as placement and settings, I really don't want to go into that. A quick Google search will give you anything you need as far as placement and settings, but I did want to show it in operation. We use it on my forearm. Oh, should have did the plug first. So don't be like me. Don't put the pad on first. You're going to want to plug it in. And the unit's on, so I could have it plugged in, but it's not going to send the pulse until I turn the knob on. So let me get this set up, and then I'll show you kind of how it works. Pads are on. Both leads are plugged in. And again, just do a quick search and you can find out what's the best settings, or dial it into something that you like. Have them on my forearm here because we did some forearm work. Again, it's not, the unit's on, but it's not sending out a pulse because these are off. So once we turn them on, which I have it in channel 2, let's put it on channel 1. So it's plugged into channel 1. We're going to turn channel 1, and we're going to put it on, let's put it on 4. And I like the modulation mode, so we have it on that. And you can barely see, but I can feel it on that muscle. Let's go ahead and crank it up a little bit more. So put it on 6. There we go, there's 9. And it's definitely sending out a good signal. If we send it up more, you can see I'm involuntarily moving my thumb here, and it's pulsing and working. So, and then again, you want more intensity, or you want to change the width to go faster or slower, you can just change it and dial it in. So my recommendation for using this unit is put it on the lowest possible and then work your way through how you'd like to customize it. But I just wanted to show that quick demonstration of it working, and you know, how, just do a basic demo of how it works. All right, so that's about it. Now, these are both great units. I've used both of them. This one I've used for a long time. This is my new one, and this is definitely my go-to unit to use on different places. But again, this is a crucial element to my recovery that I use a lot. I haven't trained with these. I know some athletes train with this, but again, I'm not a doctor, dietitian, physical therapist, but this is something that really helps in my recovery. And I'll continue. This is going to be the one that I continue to go to, especially with that recharge feature, the fact that it has a built-in battery. But that's the difference between the TENS 7000 and the PT1 Plus Pro.